Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about a topic based off the nominations of the upcoming Video Game Awards. Now, I don't really like doing videos based on this stuff, but a lot of people have been contacting me via social media, based off my gaming social media, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Xbox Live. And basically, I've been asking me, hey, Heba, we really would appreciate to hear your thoughts and your opinions on what you think based off the nominations that were just announced on the Video Game Awards, particularly on the category of Game of the Year. So for you guys, I want to thank you wholeheartedly from the bottom of my heart for having so much respect, right, for me, for thinking so highly of me, for having so much appreciation for my thoughts, outlook, opinions, and approach and of my ideals of what is going on based on said subject. With that being said, thank you guys so much ahead of time. So, the Video Game Awards is one of the only few outlets and platforms that we have in existence today for video games. That all types of gamers, from new upcoming gamers to old school gamers like myself, and the ones in between, plus casuals, can come to enjoy the celebration of games that came out during the course of that year. And it's something that with time has grown more and more and more. And just like E3, right? That was only for the press to sell products, for stores to put these products that were coming out in the wintertime or in the holiday to put on their store shelves, right? And then it became a lot bigger and more about everything related to video games and pop culture, which is phenomenal. But that type of engagement and growth came from the work and respect that many gamers put through the years for the love of this hobby. Okay? Which is what has been lost in translation through the years with these events, particularly with the Video Game Awards. Now, the biggest problem, right, is that people don't realize how much it's grown. But I'm going to give you an example, and you can look it up. It's all public record. Last year, the Video Game Awards had a viewership of up to almost 28 million viewers. 28. Almost 28 million viewers. To be exact, it's like 27,800,000 something. The point is a lot of people watched and tuned in. And the fact that a lot of people now are trying to say, well, it's not about the games nomination. It's just an award. We got to put it to the side. Just play games. Many people out there that do podcasts throughout the whole years, since this all started in this generation, that we had a bigger platform like YouTube or Twitch or Mixer or Vimeo or things like that have given us this platform to speak our voice and be part of the gaming journalistic world, right? There's been a lot of people that always have different perspectives and things like that. Some really logical and some not so logical. Some outright dumb and ignorant. But there's one thing and one word that every single person in the gaming community that sees and follow each other, whether you support each other or not, is not the point. And I'm going to mention names, not for the sake of the drama, but more for the sake of the example, for the context at hand and the bigger picture. Okay? And because of this one word as well and reason, I'm going to name this video, and the title of it will be, is the Video Game Award important? Not really. Or is it? And this word is a word that even myself have used in our podcast, whether it was DirectX, whether it's We've Got Next, whether it's let's talk about it. Okay, Xbox, let's talk about it. Whether it was on the micropox of X, whether it was RDX with Dealer, with Next Gen and his, we got with all his podcasts that he did, with Crap Gamer, with his podcast, with Cole Eastwood, Boom XL, Tick, with Mark Wood, Kid Smooth's podcast, Weapon Wheel, all the people and the players in this field, GRG, okay, that we all have been doing this because we share the same common hobby, right? Which is video games. And we've been expressive in showing our words and concerns in our own way, in our own platform. And that word is the main reason why the Video Game Award, although, yes, it's really not important in the sense of it shouldn't make gamers not play the games they want to play, or not feel that the games that they played were worthy of Game of the Year as opposed to the ones that were nominated. But it does make the Game Award important. And shout out to my man E-Rock, because he did a really good video, and I agree with him a whole bunch. But I want also to explain in my own words with this video to him as well, people like him with his type of thoughts, that it shouldn't be about age, and I understand, and it shouldn't be about that it doesn't matter, even though it is. So it's not that he's wrong or I'm right, or this person's wrong and that person's right. It's just the principle of the whole situation. So that word is a word that we've seemed to have forgotten, but it's the one word that every single podcaster that I've mentioned, and those that I didn't, have mentioned that we were all right about, that made us right in many different ways. And that word is perception. Perception. The Video Game Awards is now a big event and platform that is housing the perception of the video game world going forward into the future from this point on. And since it got started, which was way back, and then when it was about to die off, I think sometime in 2010, I might be wrong, Jeff Keighley took on the mantle of hosting it, preparing it, being in charge, and keeping it alive, which for that, I commend the man. But here's the biggest problem, because most of the people that follow Jeff Keighley, since he was on G4 TV, I think it was, he was very vocal that he was a very PlayStation-centric fanboy, right? And when you do something that is in a parameter that's supposed to be about everything as a whole, video game as a whole, you got to kind of put your fanboy nature to the side. It's what's the right messaging for the whole industry of gaming, no matter how you feel, okay? And the people that were elected as the jury to make these nominations and pick these nominations globally, whether it's from the UK, whether it's from global, from other places like Spain and Denmark, Poland, whatever, and the United States, if you go look at the list, 75% of those players have always been, or have been, at least this generation, because they've been more vocal, very Sony-centric and Nintendo-centric sites and influencers, right? You got people like Game Rants, Giant Bomb, Kinda Funny, Gamer Poor, Eurogamer, Polygon, for Christ's sakes, that if you go back and look at the history of these people, they're very Sony and Nintendo centric. What do I mean by Nintendo Sony centric? That when you go into those sites, you see them every time that they review PlayStation games or Nintendo games, or at least most of the time, 80% of the time, they always give it a very high rank score. And it's very few and far between that they don't. But when you look at their outlook of a lot of Xbox games, with the exception of maybe a Forza, because there's no way around it, because there's no other real challenger in that category at this moment, they give Xbox games pretty mediocre and bad ranked scores. With games that are delivering on all aspects and all points of gaming as a whole more than any other company and their games and their exclusives are offering. So, how is a hardcore gamer supposed to trust the opinion and picks of nominees of jurors that are already, by their very nature, biased to one set platform or to particular set platforms? You can't. And that's where the problem comes in. Because although the Game Awards really shouldn't mean anything, it does, because it has become very big and it has grown a very big audience. And most of that audience is going to be casuals. And casuals outweigh the hardcore. And the problem with that is that it's giving the perception and it's giving the messaging to all these casuals and newcoming gamers that it's okay to give a nomination to a game based on popularity for a developer, in this case Hideo Kojima. It's okay to give popularity based on a console that you like, or the games that you like on that said console that are exclusive. That it's okay to like a game just for graphics. That it's okay to like a game just for music. That it's okay to like a game just for actors or mocapping. And that's wrong. That is extremely wrong. Because the Game Awards have categories. And that's why all those categories exist. Just like the Oscars. The same way the Oscars have never made horror movies a category. And that is broken. Because through the years, horror movies have become very sophisticated, very cinematic, with a lot of quality acting and a lot of quality content in those movies. And should be considered part of the Oscars as well. Not just other movies. Just like some of these upcoming superhero movies, which have gotten a lot more compelling, a lot more grounded, and a lot more cinematic. Like The Joker, for example. Perfect example for those who've seen it. So, it applies in the gaming industry as well. The fundamentals of gaming has always been about gameplay mechanics, intuitive new styles of gameplay, and fun factor. Those are the three number one most important elements of a video game. Graphics, music, story, and in this day and age, obviously, actors that they pick and the performance of those actors through mocap is all bonus. Because you have a fantastic game that looks phenomenal with a great story and good music, but if it plays like crap and it doesn't make you feel the engagement interactively that you're supposed to feel, the way you're looking at it visually, or the way you're listening through it through your ears with your auditory experience, it's not going to keep you engaged. It's not going to keep you wanting to continue to play the game. And that's the problem with the nominations. They have games that do not fit the bill in all those categories as a whole set package. Like a Death Stranding. Or like, for example, Super Smash Brothers. Or even to, something like Sekiro. Because Sekiro is a Dark Souls game. But it's a Dark Souls game that, based off the Dark Souls fanatics, is very watered down as far as context, delivery, elements of RPG, and things of that nature, and is watered down, right? So that means if that's the case, we should have been nominating Dark Souls for Game of the Year in this award since Dark Souls 1 came out, or since Demon Souls came out on PS3, right? And it never did. So, because the engine itself that runs the game is broken. The games don't even run at a stable frame rate, not even on PC, for what I understand, because of the way the engine was built. So you can't give a game where the most important element is the game, how a game feels, and in the gameplay and the frame rate of that gameplay, a Game of the Year nomination if it's broken. And Sekiro was not a stable game, and it wasn't adding nothing new. It was just the same thing. Now, those are just some of the examples from some of the nominations. Now, Outer Wild, I can see why. It's a new IP. It delivers on all aspects, from story development, characters, gameplay, RPG elements, I believe even multiplayer to a certain extent. It delivers. And it's a new IP which with originality, which makes sense, right? But something, for example, how can you nominate something like Smash Brothers before something like Astro Chain, which is delivering a complete package, a brand new IP with new ideas, or ideas that were there before from other games that they elevated and evolved and made it even better, more grandiose. And the game was rated pretty high, and it was a complete package. Something like Smash Brothers is only for a competitive reason. It doesn't have story, and its story it has is just really little backdrops or back history of certain characters. But that's it. It doesn't really have a campaign. It doesn't really have a co-op element mode where you can play together side by side. It does, like I said, things are like that. It's a competitive game, so it should be in the competitive bracket, which is fighters, nominated in the fighting bracket and category. Just like the year where they nominated Rocket League as best racing game, when it was a sports racing game mixed together, and they shunned Forza Horizon 3, which was the real racing king and worthy nominator and winner for that generation that year. Okay? And that is the biggest problem. How can you not nominate Gears of War 5 when Gears of War 5 not only delivered on its promise of taking risk, it did things that we've never seen before in the franchise. In the story, in how it's structured, it gave you open world elements, brand new, melee style combat, brand new, more engaged story that continued, that is coherent and compelling, and a continuous story with the new characters mixed with the original 3 of the trilogy. And it gave you co-op campaign, it gave you multiplayer. Whether multiplayer had bugs or not, it comes into territory. Every multiplayer is always going to have that problem once it's out in the wild with millions of people playing on servers. It comes with the territory. It's just the nature of the beast, because it's a very intricate and very demanding and taxing type of format. Online multiplayer is very taxing and very complex. So, if Gears of War delivered on all this, even taking risk with main characters in the game, with decisions and choices that no one saw coming, that affected people emotionally in many different ways, whether it was positive or negative. Okay? How you are not going to say it was deemed and worthy of a nomination? If we do not open our mouths, and when I say we, I mean us, Root Gamers, for example, the guys that have been here since day one, that's made gaming what it is today by supporting it, even though it was scrutinized, ostracized, and looked at as a joke for many, many years, or even as something as, your kids were demonic or possessed by the devil, or you had mental issues, or you were antisocial, and all types of things of that nature. And yet we stood by, kept on promoting it, kept on supporting it, and now it is what it is today because we took a stance and let people know and let the whole world realize that it is an art form where you can have all types of artists and creative people creating amazing products and games, from the artwork to the music, the composition, the storytelling, the gameplay, the narrative, all those things, right? In one whole package. If we do not, make our voice be heard, whether we're older or not, whether we're 50 years old or 45 or 44, then we're not going to give room for the gaming world to continue healthy and safe and to be based about the fundamentals of gaming, which is what's more important than anything else. The music is not the most important. The graphics is not the most important. The mocap performance is not the most important. Whatever you can think of that's superficial is not the most important when it comes to gaming. It's what you feel when you're playing that game, how it makes you feel with the interaction, the fun factor, and all those other things I mentioned are the bonus on top of it that help you with the whole experience. So I'm not saying graphics are not important, period, and that it's not good to have compelling story or compelling performances. No. What I'm saying is it's got to be the fundamentals first, with that included, to make it the whole package be that important. And if it doesn't have that, then it does not deem and is not worthy of the Game of the Year nomination. And a lot of these games that have been nominated, again, have been nominated based off preference of developer, bias of developer, preference of graphics, preference of story, preference of music, not of gameplay. Because even something like Sekiro, the gameplay is horrendous compared to any other action game. It's very tedious, and by design, the structure is dumb. You have to keep dying in order for you to get stronger, to level up, to then get powerful, to then continue on. That's a stupid structure. I'm sorry, that's not fun, and it doesn't give you a level of if you're a normal gamer, it's not going to give you a level of satisfaction because you died 100 times when you finally get to figure out what you got to do. That's just stupid. And I've said this thousands of times. Okay, it's not in the level of something like Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Blade, Dante's Inferno, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta. Those games are the marquee of action games. Sekiro, that's just a niche audience. I'm sorry. Okay, whether it's growing or not, it's irrelevant. But people don't know any better because they concentrate on those games because those are the ones being praised and talked about most now, and they don't really know the difference between a premier action game like a Bayonetta or like a Dante's Inferno or like a Devil May Cry or like a Vanquish or like a Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Blade or Ninja Gaiden or Otage, because that's all they know. It's what's popular and what's hip now, which is the Dark Souls formula. And this is the same problem that applies to the nominations of the Game of the Year. You want to nominate Death Stranding for Best Music? Absolutely, it deserves it. The score is spectacular. I've heard it. It's beautiful. Okay? Beautiful. Does it fit the world? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't played the entire game. But it's a beautiful score. You want to nominate it for beautiful performance between certain actors like Norman Reedus or Linda Blair or whatever her name is. I'm sorry, the one from Bionic Woman. Fine. That is feasible. That is respectable. That makes sense. You want to nominate it because it has beautiful photorealistic graphics? Fine. That also makes sense. That's why you have the categories. But to nominate a Game of the Year when it doesn't have the most important fundamental, which is fun, gameplay mechanics, and gameplay elements that are new and structured to the gameplay experience, because it didn't start the genre either. For those of you saying it, you're wrong. No, the genre that started that genre about walking, coming back, and moving back and forth with that stuff to deliver stuff, to get stuff done, and cropping basically to, get to your destination and help certain things and do certain things, was with the game Lifeless Planet, which most of you probably never played. It was a smaller indie game that came on Xbox One. It was exclusive for about 3 years. Then it went to PS4, and I believe it's also now on Switch. And a lot of people didn't play it. It was on PC. Okay, and that was the first game that started that genre that Kojima is doing with Death Stranding. The only thing, he's doing it on a higher budget and AAA status, which is fine. A budget doesn't determine whether a genre is started or if a game is good or worthy of playing. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. Maybe for the casual or for you guys that don't know anything, but not for the real gamers that know the difference between good gameplay and good games or overhyped garbage because of superficial things like graphics. And don't get me wrong, I love me some photorealistic graphics, love it. But you nominate Control as another example when it's Remedy's weakest IP to this date. It has engaging settings and it's pretty dope, but in comparison to Quantum Break, and in comparison to something like Alan Wake, and even Max Payne for that matter, Control, you can clearly tell, was a lot smaller, a lot more constricted, and a lot more limited. And that's what I mean by weakest. I'm not saying that the game is bad, because it's not. I really am enjoying Control too. I'm in the middle of that gameplay too, and I really enjoy it. And plus, it has the Remedy feel. I love Remedy. But they never got nominated when they were doing the exclusives for Xbox. Wake never got nominated for Game of the Year when it should have, just because it was next to Red Dead. And neither did Quantum Break. Okay, but Uncharted 4 did, right? Got nominated. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at? I'm sorry. No. That's how you know that they're basically sending out a clear message also. If you are multi-plat to PlayStation, right, then you'll get as well. Then we'll consider you also in the nominations. And it doesn't apply for every, multi-plat game. Let's be real. I'm being honest. But you're going to tell me that something like a Asobo's The Plague's Tale doesn't deserve to get nominated for Game of the Year? A pleasant surprise that came out of nowhere from a smaller studio, and they just showed and basically ass-handed everyone else doing AAAs that you can do a quality game with a smaller budget and with a smaller team. Asobo's Plague's Tale was basically this year's Hellblade. But Hellblade got praised, especially when it was only said to be believed to be a PlayStation exclusive on the PS4. As soon as it came to Xbox, it's all right. It's all right. It's not that great. It's all right. Everything changed. The whole outlook, the whole way of thinking, the whole perception, the whole agenda changed. And this is the BS that I've been talking about for years, and that a lot of us have been talking about for years. This needs to stop, because if we don't make our voice be heard and say what we need to say and get it out there, then this same type of behavior, agenda, and favoritism is going to completely transfer over onto next generation with PlayStation and Nintendo. But mainly PlayStation. It's not really so much Nintendo, but mainly PlayStation. Even though, Nintendo gets away with murder and people say it's okay when it's not, because they're very anti-consumer. More than even PlayStation, to be honest. So, again, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on it because you asked for it as a request. I really don't care what the Video Game Awards dictate, say, or do. But, because you guys asked, I felt the need to comply so that you guys see that I appreciate you guys appreciating me giving my thoughts, because it means the world to me. And at the same time, I also feel that we should not brush off the Video Game Awards nominations, behavior, or the way that it's going down with the categories and nominees, if it's a flawed system. The jury behind it is broken because there's a lot of bias and Sony and Nintendo centric jurors on that board that pick the nominations. And then us, the real gamers that respect gaming and the developers and what they did to bring to the table with these new experiences that actually deserve it, have to be settled and put our tails in between our legs to pick from what they picked. Oh yeah, let me just pick from whatever they decided, even though we know deep down inside it was a wrong pick, that it should have never been there. Sorry, excuse me, should have never been there in the first place. So, again, like I've been saying, we need to make our voice be heard. And what I'm saying, that I'm talking about to my brothers, my hardcore root gaming brothers, like, the New Legal, okay, like E-Rock X, Microbox, okay, like, what you call it, Sega Forever, Sega Man, Master Chief, Mr. 100. All of us that are really those root gamers that, that fight the good fight for the right reasons. Not console warring for the sake of console warring, but console warring for the sake of calling out the BS that should stop and hasn't stopped, and people that call themselves quote-unquote Xbox enthusiasts, influencers, and lovers really don't do. They want to play the neutral card because it's okay, or because if you say something that makes you crazy, or that makes you dumb, or that makes you a fanboy, that you're just console warring, when in reality there's a difference between console warring and calling out BS. People like Megatron, people that have been here from the beginning, that knew how hard it was to make gaming what it is today because of our belief and support. So you guys can, leave whatever you feel and your thoughts down below in the comments to talk to me and counter argue whatever you want to say. That's fine. You have that right. Leave a thumbs up, leave a thumbs down. That means a like or a dislike. You have that right. It's okay. And share it with someone that you think might or might not like it. But in closing thoughts, all I can really say is this. Perception is a powerful thing. And the Video Game Award has garnered and established such a big following and viewership that the perception is giving out is very important and very indicative for the future of games, game developers, and what is right and what is wrong in the Video Game Award category system and nomination with the jurors. Because they're gonna give the impression to the casuals or the newcomers, because they're not gonna fool us, the root hardcore gamers, that it's okay, like I said again, to like a game just because of graphics, when that's something that's only superficial in a game. And of course, good graphics come with more power. That's the way it's always been. And we love them and appreciate them. Of course we do. But that's not the number one priority in a game. And anybody that says that, you're a fucking fraud. I'm sorry. You are a fraud. You're not a gamer. Stop saying you're a gamer. And if you are a gamer, you're a casual. That is your category. A casual. Because no real hardcore gamer is going to say that graphics is more important than gameplay elements. Can it be just as important? Absolutely. As long as the fundamentals of gaming are in that game first, which is gameplay elements, and mechanics, and fun factor. Because if it's not fun and it doesn't have gameplay elements that are intuitive and new, or that evolve gaming, or that moves gaming forward, then there's no point in even wasting your time with that set game. I think I talked enough, guys. I'm probably going to do another episode of We Got Next sometime tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned, and you're more than welcome to join. I'll be right on my Mixer channel if you want to check it out, or when I upload it later on my YouTube channel, you can check it out. You're more than welcome. No hate, no trolling, because I'm just not gonna pay you no mind. I'm just gonna ignore you, just like I do all the time with other people. They know who they are because I don't have time to waste. I really don't. Because I'm older, like NWO Prime, shout out to him, did a pretty cool video yesterday. I checked it out. And like E-Rock said, I'm too old for this bullshit. But I'm not too old to speak my thoughts and values and respect and appreciation for a hobby that I've loved almost all my life. I will get that out there, and I will have my say in it until I can't do it anymore. It don't have to be in an argumentative form. It doesn't have to be in a negative form. It doesn't have to be in a confrontational form. No, I'm going to say what I got to say. If you agree with me, fine. If you don't, that you also have that right. But I'm going to try to speak with logic, with factual context, with respect, and with the appreciation for the hobby. I'm not just going to speak for the sake of getting people to come here, to click on my channel, subscribe to my channel, and to build my viewership. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen because real people appreciate what I do by being a real influencer in the gaming community with real influencing gaming content or pop cultural content, for that matter, whether it's figures, collectibles, movies, comics, things like that. I want real subscribers, not frauds or trolls that come, even though I appreciate your attention, to come just to, be ignorant or negative about it. I just don't have time to waste. I'm too old for that. I have time to spread the real word in a positive nature with real intelligence, real logic, and not looking the other way and acting like, oh, it's okay, just ignore it. No. Because if we continue to let it happen, all the work that we did through all those years to make gaming is where it is today, then it was for nothing. Because they're never going to respect it. They're going to throw it down the toilet, and it's just going to become worse and worse for future gamers and other generations, and it's going to eventually turn to shit or die. And I would like to think that at least I did my part to save that fundamental, that essence and aspect of the roots of gaming. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. As always, love you very much. And if you ever want to help me out, you guys know what you can do. It's all from your heart and your choice. Nothing is mandatory. And I'll be doing a Patreon page soon, so I will do a video explaining why. And I hope that you guys maybe find it in your heart to come join me, because it's much appreciated. See you on the next one, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.